General advice only, doesn't take into consideration your personal circumstances, yada, yada, yada. If anybody acts on this, I was never here. Yeah, what the heck's going on? Okay. Okay, so who can benefit from planning? And what do they look like? Okay, so basically anybody who's facing a financial decision and doesn't really know what to do, wants to have a bit of an idea of what the outcome is going to be. So they generally look like these types of people. They run family-run businesses, okay? Say things like, we're going well, but we're reliant upon mum and dad, or there's one key person in the business, okay? Talking about their future, 30 to 50 years old, successful, doing okay, but they don't want to work forever. Okay? Also, normally say, look, we're at the stage now where we're doing all right, what do we do from here? Do we buy an investment property? How do we make our money work harder for us? Or singles or young couples. Okay? Might have a couple of young kids, might be paying off a mortgage, have school fees, etc. Okay? Now that work's picked up a bit, got a bit more cash flow, not sure how they're going to manage their payments. So, who knows, when people talk about risks, when we're talking investments, what do you normally think of? Anyone? Losing money. Okay, excellent. If this thing. So we call that market risk. Right? There's also investment risk, the risk that your returns on your investment aren't going to perform the way that you want. But there's a lot of other risks. There's regulatory risk. Okay? There's inflation risk. Risk that your returns aren't going to keep pace with inflation. We've got interest rates. Interest rates go up, cost you more when you borrowed money. There's liquidity. How easily can you convert your investment to cash? How easily can you get the money out if you need it? Credit risk. There's timing risk. Concentration risk. Have you got too much of the one asset class? Okay? For example, concentration one is a big one. Martine, you probably see a lot of it. You possibly, a lot of your clients may have a fairly large property portfolio, but they're all residential properties and they're all in the one suburb or the neighbouring suburb. So if there's a significant downturn in the residential property market, they're exposed to that because they've only got that one asset class. Obviously, currency risk. I don't know if anybody does a lot of currency trading, but changes in currencies. Longevity is one that's not mentioned often. Does anybody want to have a crack at what longevity risk may be?
How long that asset will last for?
Close. Yeah. It's actually how long are you going to last? Are you going to outlast your money? That is a real risk, particularly as you start getting closer to retirement. How likely is it that your money is going to be able to provide for you for your whole lifetime? Now, the retirement pension age at 65, that was set 50 years ago, if not more. Our life expectancy was 72, right? Now we're averaging upwards of 83 for men. You lovely ladies go a couple of years longer, probably because you have to put up with us. And sequencing risk. Anybody want to have a crack at what sequencing risk is? Janet, not from you because you can answer this one. Sequin, not sequencing. Okay. Sequencing risk relates to returns you get if you're drawing down on your investment. Okay, so if you need like a regular income, you're selling down assets to supply that. If markets are down, you need a set dollar amount, you need to sell more assets. Okay, so the timing of when that comes through is really important. So obviously that market risk, the first one that everybody's worried about, is like worried about losing their money. One of the best ways to sort of protect against that is with diversification. Now, does anybody want to have a crack at what diversification may mean? Now, this may not work because I'm launching another.
It's like having 3 wives.
Yeah. Okay. Right, so what we're looking at here is returns in 2009 and 10, now through various different asset classes. Okay, so in 2009, the best performing Australian asset class, well, any asset class, was Australian shares with 39.6% in 2009. This is the year after the GFC. Right? So if we go back a year, if my mouse allows me, because it doesn't like this podium much. Okay, the previous year, it was Australian bonds. So Australian bonds is a fixed interest, okay, based in Australian currency, obviously. Yeah? Australian shares were way down the bottom. We all know GFC was really bad for Australian shares, negative 40%. Now cash was negative 54%. So if you had all your money in cash, your interest rates got sliced in half in 2008. So that would have impacted on your returns. So people who think that cash is safe, it is if it's short term. Long term, it's not great. Everything was pretty much ordinary, apart from even US shares had bounced a little bit. No, sorry, that's Australian property. No, that's cash. Here we go. What am I doing here? Show up. Okay, Australian property 54%. Cash was 7%. Following year, cash, where are you? Cash. Down the bottom. No. That's the asset. US shares was down 2. There you go, 3.5. So you've halved your return there. Okay, international shares had bounced a little bit, but you're coming from 2 years prior, negative 29. So as we move forward, okay, so the top performing, we'll stick with that. We've got Australian bonds, then Australian shares, then it's international property, then it's Australian bonds again. Then we get Australian property, so we had a bit of a rally there. That was pretty much driven by our expansion into mining. Come on, mouse. Then US shares had 53% return. So after GFC, 2008, who knows of people that pulled all their money out of markets, cashed everything in, and put it in cash and went, that's it, I'm not going back in there. Too scared. Lots. Every once in a while, I still see somebody now who did that in 2008 and has still got all their investments sitting in cash, which is insane. So my key point out of this, effectively, is that we never know from year to year what asset class is going to be the best performing. There is no way for anybody to know. I mean, we can take some reasonable guesses based on historic performance, etc., and go, right, well, in these kind of conditions we've seen previously, this is what happens to that asset class. If you have a spread of all those asset classes down here, okay, yes, there are going to be some that aren't doing great. Okay, so obviously some outperform. I mean, cash was 2.7, Australian shares was 5 in 2014. That's pretty ordinary, considering, 2009, we were up at 39, but it's still a positive outcome. But if you've got a bit of everything, you reduce your exposure to risk that asset class isn't going to perform. Because even if we're going to be losing or not making as much on Australian shares this particular year or cash, we're picking it up in international property or Australian property or US shares. So money has a tendency to move between asset classes. They will move based on sentiment, where people think they're going to be able to make profit. If something, and also fear is probably the biggest driver. If somebody's concerned about losing money, they're going to move their money from that asset and go and invest in something else. They're going to chase returns. But you can't chase returns because you don't know, just because something has had a really good year this year doesn't mean that it's going to be the winner next year. Okay? So the only way you're going to be in an asset class that's going to shoot the lights out is by if you own all of them. You hedge your bets. Okay? You diversify. It's the main way to reduce your risk. Okay? And more importantly, you want it to be liquid so that you can make the changes if one of them happens to be really, really bad. I was going to run through a case study, but given our technical issues this morning, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get it back up. So I'll kind of explain what we did. I'll run through the case study verbally because I don't think I can get it to run. The main thing, a lot of people think to see a financial plan you've got to have lots of money. Okay, I just had an annual review with one of my clients Tuesday. Now, she works in an aged care home as a carer. She's on about $44,000 a year. So she's not earning a mozza. She was looking to downsize her property. I love how they always wait till Friday morning to do all of that. Fantastic. Now, she was getting on a bit. She was over 60, and her family home was too big. It was beautiful property. The grounds were really nice, lovely garden, big outdoor area, entertaining area, but it was just her. Her only child had grown up and flew the coop, was living in Melbourne. She had no need for it, and it was costing her too much to keep the place. She just couldn't handle it. So she was downsizing. She was moving to a retirement village. Now, her home was worth about $450, and she was moving into a retirement village. It was going to cost her about $330. So she was going to have a bit of cash left over. She also had an inheritance of about 80 grand from her mum who passed away. She had about 100 and something thousand in super. So, you know, by all accounts, not necessarily a very affluent client, one would think. But that didn't really matter, because what we did, we had a discussion around what she wanted to do. She wanted to have a bit of flexibility, wanted to make sure she had enough to retire on. She was going to work through to pension age, which was going to be about 7 years. So we took some of that inheritance, we put that into her super. We worked out what her cash flow was going to be like. She had a bit of a surplus. She was a really lovely lady. She's one of those ladies that used to take her cash and put it in envelopes. You know, like she's got bills, so she's got one envelope for all her bills, she's got one envelope for her car, one envelope for her groceries. We all know those sorts of people. And what we did, we started salary sacrificing into a super, and we started a transition to retirement. So we topped up her super and started pulling some money out. The main difference or impact on that is that the money she was getting from her super was tax-free. Okay, so I've got paying taxable income. I've replaced a big chunk of it with tax-free income. Not a bad outcome, I would think. And then by salary sacrificing, we were reducing her tax payable. So we were going pre-tax, putting money into super. And she was keeping 85% of all of that, because there's a 15% tax. So the outcomes turned out that in 12 months, she's paid $3,600 less in tax than what she was paying normally. Her super balance has grown by $17,000. Her pension has paid her nearly $18,000 tax-free so far this financial year. Okay, her pension fund that I've invested for her has made $15,000. So really, it's only cost her about $2,000 for $18,000 of tax-free money. So that translates to about 7.3% so far this year. So we're pretty happy with that. And she's still got $158,000 in cash, and she's going to Europe in August. So I guess my point is that you don't have to think, I don't have a lot of money to be able to benefit from speaking to a financial planner. Okay? Because there's strategies that we know that we can maximise what you've got by the information, the strategies and the legislation that we're aware of. So that's basically it. Thank you for your time. Apologies for the IT issues. Thanks, Mike.